Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Rovers Report and another episode of A View from the Opposition, the series where we get the inside scoop on Rovers' upcoming opponents from an opposition fan. Today, we've been very kindly joined by Nappers from Cod Vlogs, who's hopefully going to give us a bit of an insight on Fleetwood Town. So, firstly, mate, thanks for coming on the channel. How are you doing today?
No problem. I'm, glad to be on. So thank you for inviting me. And, looking forward to Saturday. I think 10 days, 11 days of that league game after the obviously last week against Oxford to Saturday. It was nice to kind of have a break from the league. Obviously, we both played lower opposition at the weekend and both got through, thankfully, as well. And, both got nice ties to go in the second round to potentially go to the third round. But, the league is where the bread and butter's at. And I'm sure it'll be a tasty affair with, you boys got a lot of ex-Fleetwood players and obviously Joey Barton, who hasn't done a lot in his life, has he?
No, he's kept very quiet, mate. I guess the first question for you, and it sort of links into what you were just saying there, is there's obviously quite a few connections between Fleetwood and Rovers. As a Fleetwood fan, what is your general opinion on Rovers?
Even before Fleetwood players went there, I always kind of had a little bit of a soft spot for Bristol Rovers. I went there in 2017, I think, when you first came up out of the league, where you got promoted with that last-minute goal and you denied Accrington a promotion. And I kind of thought at the time, well, both a new ground. I don't know where I would rather go. Obviously, Bristol came up, and I liked the ground. It was quirky. You remembered it, and it was a great atmosphere on the day, and you welcomed away fans, and that stuck with me. And every time you come to Highbury, I thought your fans have been terrific. And obviously, you had a couple of horrible years, but last year was kind of special for you, wasn't it? So, I wanted you to win promotion last year. I'm glad you're back, and now you got obviously Fleetwood players. I always do look out for your results anyway, but it's always good to see when you've got a win on your belts as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, mate. If we take it back, then obviously last season you had your own final day drama and you managed to just stay up. What were your sort of expectations going into this season? Was it very much one of consolidation once again, or were there some Fleetwood fans that sort of wanted to be a bit more optimistic and look to push further up that table?
Well, we finished on 40 points last year, but we had a lot of injuries. We had so much bad luck, and we just couldn't close games out. Now, our problem was last year we didn't have enough experience. Now, one of the first signings we brought in Sean Mooney. We had Josh Vella. We had these types of players, which was huge for us to bring in. So my expectation was we'd be in the bottom 8, bottom 10 area, but we'd be quite comfortable of the bottom 4 area. I always felt we'd finish 10 points above the bottom 4, and I still believe that we will do that. So, my beliefs and my aims for the season haven't changed, really. When you're in the season, you're not winning as many games, and we've got the most draws in the Football League, actually, on 9. You want to win more games of football, of course, so you get frustrated, but it's a really, really good start for us compared to last year. Of course, you want to do better if you want to kind of reach a higher standard, but, we're doing okay. We're battling away, and for the team that we've got, in a kind of a first year of a project again, we're doing okay.
Yeah, I think, like you said, mate, you seem to get a lot of draws. And one thing I did notice looking at your previous fixtures and the statistics is that you don't concede many, but conversely, you also don't score many. Is that the sort of football that Scott Brown is trying to implement into the squad? Is it sort of based on resilience at the back and defensive solidity?
I always say you want to see your manager in your team, and if you see that, there's something going right. And if you look at Bristol Rovers, the fight, they're relentless, they don't give up, they go into challenges. That's Joey Barton for you. Scott Brown's very similar as well, where he's a born winner. He's used to being in that winning mentality. Now, someone said to me last week, which I kind of agree with, he's not used to losing, and he doesn't know how to lose. And sometimes when we are losing games, he doesn't know kind of, what do we do? Because at Celtic, it's kind of very easy. So I think he'll learn that, and he's going to have to learn that over the next 12, 18 months. Otherwise, we're in trouble. But I think he's adapted really well. He's changed the formation now to accommodate our wing backs, who are very attacking in Rooney and Danny Andrew. But we've got 2 up front now who can hold the ball up, can bring others into play. So we are difficult to break down. We've got the second best defence in the league behind Barnsley and Bolton, who are joint top. But going forward, we don't look like we're going to score loads of goals. We don't have an out-and-out goal scorer. We have a lot of players who can score probably 5 goals, 6 goals. Your Mendes Gomez, your Callum Mortons, your Josh Vella's from midfield, kind of, Musqui when he comes back. back as well. So we can kind of get them to all score 5 or 6 here and there, we'll be okay. But, you know, defence at the minute is kind of keeping us up in the table, where last year we were conceding, I think we conceded 80-odd goals, and that was the difference between last year and this year. Last year we scored goals for fun, that we scored in the 60s. This year it's probably going to be like 50 goals scored and 48 goals against. But we'll finish 10, 15 points higher up. So sometimes goals doesn't always win games. It's a strange League One.
Yeah, I think that would be a good bit of advice to give Joey Barton, because, you know, obviously they're similar players, Barton and Scott Brown, when they were playing in the centre of midfield, but it seems a complete contrast. Well, the way Barton sets out his games, and we've seen this actually in the past few games where we've gone to Derby and Sheffield Wednesday, and, you know, sometimes I think there would be a bit of something to be said for a bit of pragmatism, of sort of, I don't mind you going there and playing all that attack, but sometimes it does pay to sit back. And I've got a mate who's a Shrewsbury fan, and I think they're the kings of that almost. Is, you know, they're going to sit there and frustrate you, but they often pick up results on the road. And it sounds like, maybe not to the same extent as Shrewsbury, but it sounds like you're employing a similar sort of system. For the Rovers fans that will be watching on Saturday, who should they keep an eye out for? And if you were Barton, where would you be identifying the key threats for you?
Mendes Gomez, I think he's scored 4 and 6 now. I think he's, you know, been brilliant since he came in from Luton. And obviously, he got promoted with Morecambe through the playoffs, and he was their star man that year. He scored 15, 16 goals, ended up scoring the winner in the playoff final against Newport via the penalty spot. And he jumped up to Luton, to the Championship. And sometimes you need that extra year in League One to progress to the Championship. And now he's getting that year in League One a year after. And I think we're kind of seeing his quality. I think you've got to also look for Josh Vella, a midfielder, who I think is, you know, stern in a tackle, you know, relentless, won't be scoring loads of goals or getting loads of assists, but he can get a goal, he can get an assist, but he does the hard yards for the team, and you notice him when he's not in the team. Lewis Warrington scored a brilliant goal last weekend. Paddy Lane scored a brace last weekend as well, you know, so look out for him, number 11. And, you know, your wing backs as well, Sean Rooney and Danny Andrew, will always create opportunities for you via them as well. Nice.
Yeah, because like I said, one of my mates is a Shrewsbury fan, and he was a bit confused about the Vela transfer because, you know, I don't imagine that Fleetwood can pay huge wages. Maybe I might be wrong there. So he almost saw that as, because I think he's been linked to some bigger clubs, I said, you know what I mean. But what do you think it was that pulled him there? Was it the project?
A 3-year deal.
Was it?
A 3-year deal, yeah. I think, yeah. Because if you look at his age, he's kind of like mid-late 20s, isn't he? And a 2-year deal at Shrewsbury or a 3-year deal at Fleetwood. The training ground at Fleetwood is very impressive as well. I think as well, where he kind of made his name at Bolton, I think being back up this end may help him as well. The training ground is second to none as well. He probably has gone up on a bigger wage budget, because Fleetwood's wage budget has gone up again this year. Last year it went down, and kind of he wanted to imply youth. I think kind of he's realised, look, to get youth in our team, we need experienced bodies round them in correct ages, not 34, 35. You need 27, 28-year-olds like a Josh Vella, who is absolutely, I still believe he's one of the best players in this league, Josh Vella. For what he won't get goals and assists, he's not that type of player, but as in a midfielder, I think he gets in a lot of top teams in this league. I really, really do, for what he can offer. And I think he's only missed something like 9 minutes in the league this year. The 2 cup games he's played, you know, 45 and 20 minutes still. So he's vital for us. And I'm so glad we got him. I was very surprised when we were linked to him. And I thought, as soon as we got him, I was hugely impressed. Another one that I forgot to mention for the one to watch, if you don't mind me going back today, is Josh Earl, who is, I don't know if he's suspended, but because this yellow card rule after a certain amount of game kind of changes, doesn't it? But
it's confusing,
he's been brilliant since coming in, since Preston, and he's been at Burton, and he can play left midfield, left winger, left back. He's been playing centre back of a back three for us, and he is a Rolls Royce. And for me, he's the best centre back I've seen at Fleetwood since Lewis Gibson, who is at Bristol Rovers now. So both left-footed, and you know, Lewis Gibson for us was absolutely brilliant.
He didn't play too many games, though, did he? Was it sort of 8, 9, 10, 11 games, or am I mistaken there?
No, you're absolutely correct. So basically, he came in January and he played 12 games. We didn't lose in those 12 games, Then COVID happens, and then we go into a lot. Then we go into the lot of games behind closed doors, and obviously we get hammered in the playoffs. But I think we won 6, drew 6 in that 12-game unbeaten run. But that 12-game unbeaten run, we played you boys, where you missed a penalty in the last minute.
Yeah.
Then we drew to Coventry. We went to Sunderland. Like we were 1-up and we lost the lead in the last minute and drew 1-1. We beat Peterborough. We went to Wycombe. We had only lost once at home all year, and that was to Coventry. You know, we beat Portsmouth at home. So we were beating all these top sides, and he was part of that. Him, Harry Suter, who is going to the World Cup with Australia, and he was vital for us. And we were interested in the summer, but he hadn't played a lot of games the previous year with Sheffield Wednesday. Had a little bit of an injury, and obviously it was always going to be Joey Barton link-up, and I thought it was an excellent signing for you at the time.
Yeah, there is something interesting to be said for that, isn't there? That I think both of us have obviously benefited from the fact you have the sort of icon as a manager, you know, someone that's memorable, players want to play under. And it's just frustrating. I think we've got a couple of them, sort of Gibson, and then I don't know if you know Josh Grant, but these players that on their day are really good players, but really just struggle for fitness. And you feel for them because, you know, I think probably Gibson, if he was fully fit all the time, he'd be certainly lower end championship, possibly looking at even higher than that. And it is frustrating, isn't it, mate? But conversely to your strengths, if you were Barton and you were sort of looking at your team thinking, where can we get at them? Where are your potential weaknesses? I know you probably don't want to give too much away, but what would you say?
I think because we play a back three now, 3-5-2, and our wing backs are very high, get down the side, and then all of a sudden you've kind of got an overload on that side and get balls into the box. Now, one thing, if Josh Hill does play, if he's not suspended, he will come out for a lot of balls. Make sure you win the first head. Then you could have a 2v1 situation, and we're very isolated. You can cut us open numerous times as well. I think we're very weak on those kind of crossing areas, and if we do lose the first head as well, I think sometimes we're a little bit vulnerable later on in games. I think we're better than we were last year as well. So, you know, keep fighting, keep believing, keep, you know, plucking out challenges as well. But, you know, I think it's going to be a really tough game on Saturday. I think it's two kind of similar sides, kind of in terms of ability and where they'll finish this year. But, you know, for me, I place going to the men like going to Fratton Park. It is horrible. If you're 1-0 up there, yeah, 100%. Because if you go 1-0 up, the crowd are honestly. I won't want to play there and get booed off because there's just something about it. The acoustic, something. It's like we're in for a tough game today.
I think it's like the old-fashioned style ground as well, isn't it? It sort of feels a bit old-fashioned. And you come there, and you know, like you said, the fans are straight at it from the off, and it does work the other way though sometimes, mate. You know, if you can come there and you can sort of quiet the crowd down early doors, then they will get on the players' backs. And yeah, I think the one thing which I do like about Barton, especially at home, is doesn't matter what team it is. If we're drawing, he's going to be going for it in the final 20 minutes. So I do anticipate that it'll be a bit of a tetchy start, perhaps. You know, the first 45 minutes might be a bit working each other out and quite attritional. But I think, yeah, depending on how the final 20 minutes play out, I think it could be a really exciting game.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that, you know, you added well to your squad in the summer. Obviously, what happened last year will never be forgotten. And you know, you started a little bit slow, but I kind of think Joey Barton is very very patchy as a manager, where you can go 5 games, 6 games, and you start questioning, and then you'll go and win 3 in a row and from pluck a win out of nowhere. And I think sometimes that's good. I think Bristol Rovers are at this moment in time a mid-table League One club. I think you've got to take it as kind of a 3, 4, 5 year plan, really. Just take it very slow, because they're not going to absolutely splash money at it like other big boys are going to do. Kind of stay up this year, better on it next year. 3rd year, really, you should be looking to gate crash that top 6, because I still believe this year, I think maybe 4th places are safe at the top end of the league.
I'd agree.
And anyone can get it this year. I think last year it was a bit closed off. This year, if any team can, you've done it recently, you win Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, you can go from 18th and you went into the top 10. And it's like, where did that come from?
No, it's true. It's the momentum, isn't it? I think you're right, and I think a lot of Rovers fans would do well to sort of understand that. And I've definitely been guilty of it. You put a few good performances together, and you suddenly think, "Oh, hang on a minute, we can challenge." But it's our first season back. I think consolidation is the sort of that's the key aim for us. I find it interesting. I spoke to a Morecambe fan actually on this series as well, and I know obviously you're rivals, but I feel you probably do sit in a similar position. For Fleetwood, it would take a mammoth task, wouldn't it, to be pushing those playoff positions? I know you were in and around there with Joey Barton previously, but as a fan, how do you feel about that? Is it sort of are you consigned to League One, or do you still harbour ambitions that one day you can push on and go up to the Championship?
It's a brilliant question because I always believe, and I'll be honest with Fleetwood, I don't say it often, but my lifelong dream is to see us. I don't care if we go down. I don't care how many points. I want 1 year in the Championship.
Yeah.
And if we get that, and the first time we had it, it was 2016-17, the year you actually got promoted from League Two. We were in a similar situation all year, and we got on an 18-game unbeaten run under Uwe Rosler. And, we were, winning games in the last minute, never say die attitude. And unfortunately, we kind of went up and down to the end of the season. We missed out on the last day, really. And we went into the playoffs and we didn't really challenge Bradford. And in the end, Millwall went up. And then after that, you kind of think, will we ever go again? And under Barton, I honestly believe if the season finished, and Joey Barton will say the same, I think we would have finished in the top two. I'm very confident on that. And it was just unfortunate the way it panned out. But that's football. I do think we will have another push very soon. Maybe not the next year or 2 years, but we just need to add some quality. If we had a Paddy Madden or a Ched Evans in our side, I honestly believe we'd be in the top 10 this year for the challenges that we do create. We just need someone that can stick the ball in the back of the net. And if you've got a 20-goal a season striker, you will be in the top 8, top 9 area and within a chance. So, we just need to keep plucking on, and hopefully one day luck will turn and we'll see us in the Championship.
Yeah, hopefully the both of us will be up there, mate. Just before I let you go, I want to say once again a massive thank you, and of course I'll leave all of your stuff in the description below, so make sure to go and check that out. But just before you head off, can I have a score prediction, mate?
I got asked this the other day, and it was really, really tough to say. I'm going to go 1-1. I think it'll be a nice battle. I'd like to see both teams kind of go for it. It's kind of a big pitch, Bristol Rovers. It's kind of very open. You can go and play your stuff there as well, but you can kind of get sucked in. I believe Fleetwood will score first, and we'll get sucked in, and you'll eventually make us pay. And 1-1 will be my final score prediction. I'm interested to hear what your score prediction will be as well.
See, I'm conflicted, mate, because I agree with you. I think you will take the lead, and then I think it's a case of if you set up defensively solidly, we could be pushing and pushing because, like I said, Joey Barton will go for it. So I do fear that it could be a sort of, a late 2-0 victory for you. But I'll be positive and I'll go for a 3-1 Rovers victory, mate.
Oh, let's see. I'm looking forward to seeing how Joey Barton and how the crowd react. Will he come over to us? Because he never got to say goodbye to the Fleetwood fans. It happened over COVID times, and it kind of came out of the blue as well. And he said some nice stuff on social media, not so on Robbie Fowler's podcast, but it'll be interesting to see what happens on Saturday. And it's, I'll be clapping him personally. I wish him and the Gassard all the best of luck.
Yeah, I think he'll come over and show you some respect. He didn't leave on terrible terms with the fans necessarily. I know some might not have seen it that way, but yeah, it should definitely be an exciting encounter, mate. And I'll be keeping an eye on the touchline as well. So once again, mate, thank you for coming on, and I'll catch you guys later. Cheers.